Hey everyone, it's a Mrs. Besega summer update. Second science update of the summer, and today's topic is actually science in the summer. How fitting. Um, okay, so you know that throughout the course of the year, I always told you when cool things were happening in the sky, and guys, this is a cool thing happening in the sky. So, Comet NEOWISE is the first comet discovered by the NEOWISE satellite that we put up. The purpose of this satellite plus telescope is to find near Earth objects. This object was discovered in March. It's about 3 miles across, and as a comet, guys, this is the brightest comet since 1997. So here's what you do to see it. Nightly, you can see this about 90 minutes before sunrise or 90 minutes after sunset. Look north and near the horizon. It's not very high up in the sky, so if you have lots of trees blocking your northern view, you might not be able to see it. In terms of exactly where to look, well, we're about here. So I would probably, a constellation I know Ursa Major. That's the Big Bear in the northern hemisphere, right? The Big Bear should be over by the North Star. Then to the side, you should see it. Now, you'll always see pictures like this one of that comet with that tail going away from the sun. Remember, that's just melting ice turning into water vapor, the rocks are falling off and all of this, and becoming illuminated because of irradiation from the sun. It's reflecting that light from the sun, right? It won't move fast across the sky like a shooting star will. A comet will stay roughly in the same place in the sky as you're watching it, though it will move over time throughout the course of the day. Okay, so I do suggest take an eye out for that. A cool thing about this comet is that it actually doesn't go along the same ecliptic plane as the rest of the planets do, right? It actually started below the ecliptic plane and is now above the ecliptic plane. It is already past its closest approach to the sun, which ultimately would give the brightest reflection, but to you and I, because we're observing from the Earth, it will actually appear the brightest around July 22nd. So no rush. I'm giving you plenty of lead time to see this really cool thing. And who knows, we might not see another bright comet for another 23 years. Or we might see one next year. It's a surprise. So thing number one to look out for science in the summer, thing number one, check out the comet. If you have a pair of binoculars, that would probably also be good, because you can see it with the naked eye, but binoculars make it better, obviously. Another super cool thing is the Perseverance. It's a new Mars rover set to launch on July 30th at 7:50 a.m. from Cape Canaveral. This is launched entirely by NASA. So unlike the SpaceX launch I was hyping up in like the May time period, unlike the SpaceX launch, this is just NASA. So how to find out more information, go to ulalaunch.com. And while I think the launch itself will be cool, because guys, space launches are cool. There's like lots of noise and there's lots of dust and gas, and it's very exciting. One of the most interesting things will be once this gets to Mars, because this particular Mars rover is going to be slated to do a series of experiments. Think of it as trying to figure out whether there were signs of life in the past, to look at rocks and soil. We also are testing a new helicopter to figure out if we can use helicopters or drones to fly on Mars in the particular atmosphere. Another cool experiment they'll be doing with the Perseverance rover is they're going to be looking particularly at survivability for astronauts. So they will be studying a method for trying to pull oxygen, O2, oxygen, out of the Martian atmosphere for potential survival purposes. If you don't know, we are looking probably in the next 10 years to be sending real human astronauts to Mars, so we probably want to determine habitability. habitability. I can say that word. We're good. We're good, guys. You know what I mean. So again, that's ulalaunch.com for more information about the Perseverance and its launch. And finally, thing number 3 for summer science is citizen science. In honor of July 2020 being the Lake Appreciation Month, I'm actually not a huge beach person, but I am a huge lake person. So right there, I'm pushing citizen science. Now, if you've ever wondered, for scientific purposes, would they send out all these lab coat wearing, goggle wearing scientists to study soil or lakes or habitats? Science simply doesn't have the resources for that. So what we can do instead is use the resources of having citizens all over the world collect observations, data, even samples. For Lake Appreciation Month and for citizen science, I'll be doing 2 Secchi lake tests. Basically, I take a disc that looks like this. I'll be doing this at Camp Ingersoll in Portland and Amston Lake in Amston. And this measurement will determine water turbidity. Passing this along to scientists that study water turbidity, they can study the health of this lake without having to send out a scientist to do this measurement. This summer, I'm also looking to get a kit from the Cyanoscope project, which will help study cyanobacteria. If this poor dog was actually swimming in cyanobacteria, it would die. It's paralytic to dogs. I want to say it's pretty toxic to humans, but the problem is this particular bacteria is much more efficient at growing and crowds out other bacteria species. So once my kit gets in, I'll be able to go to local ponds and water sources, test for the bacteria, report it to people who can study it further. Citizen science is really cool in that you can study whatever in science you're interested in, right? A thing that I just had was I just got my soil tested from the University of Oklahoma. They have this soil collection program where they send you how to collect soil, they send you a way to send it back, how to keep your sample pure, and what they'll do, if you can see my biology picture here, is they'll grow the microbiome from your soil and see if there's any new microbiomes that, scientists could use to study future drugs. We haven't discovered all the types of life that live on Earth yet, and so they're looking to use that to discover future possible medicines, right? And there's also this one here, the tulip test plant with Journey North. Journey North is another great citizen science website. So if you're interested in migratory creatures, changing of seasons, Journey North does the tulip project. I'm not starting the tulip project until fall, so if you're still following me in fall, you'll know about that one. But in the meantime, if you're interested in possibly participating in a science project at your house, go to scistarter.org/finder. I like this particular one a little bit better than the citizenscience.gov because even though the .gov website is the federal one, it's a little bit harder to navigate and find stuff that you might actually be interested in. Whereas SciStarter can narrow it down by region, so it doesn't give you the Alaska and Arizona and Wyoming test sites. It gives you just the stuff you can do in Connecticut. So scistarter.org. Thanks for joining me on our little science in the summer thing. Next summer update will be my summer reading update. I am almost done. I'm 2 books away from the Read Harder 2020. I guess it's not a summer reading challenge. This is a year-long challenge to read 24 books in all these different categories. So stay tuned for summer updates and we'll talk about summer reading. Okay, bye all. Hope you're doing well.